came across this movie of Miss Kitty. And the movie was called Why I Hate People Who Aren't Feminist. And well, I had to respond to it. I really had to because I'm kind of definitely not a feminist. And yeah, let's get this thing on the road.
So, I wanted to talk to you about feminism. And more importantly, what comes into my mind when people say that they're not a feminist.
And right off the bat, we start with the air quotations. This is going to be a doozy.
Because it can go one of two ways, okay?
Only one of two.
Sometimes I feel like I want to reassure people, especially men when they say they're not feminists. I want to say, look, you've got it all wrong, okay? Feminism is not about hating men. It's not about wanting to oppress men at the expense of... No. Yeah, it's not wanting to oppress men, and feminism's about men too.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know, the funny thing is, you're making this sentence and you already have a problem making the sentence. You already lose your way halfway through. Feminism is not against men. Have you seen hashtags like kill all men or male tears and men need not apply? You should look it up. It's kind of, well, I wanted to say funny, but horrendous is probably a better word.
And I want to tell them that feminists do care that men get less paternity leave and rights over their children.
Of course, feminists care about that. They've been fighting for it for the longest of times. They're making sure that it stays that way because they're not helping men get more maternity leaves. Trust me on that one.
I want to tell them that women do care that the suicide rate for men is fucking sky high.
Yeah, I totally believe you on that one. Women do care. Mind you, you chose the word women, and I agree with the word women. It's not feminist. Feminists don't care. And yes, there are female feminists, but yeah, you get the difference.
And it's awful. I want to tell them that feminists are bothered about gender roles in children and how boys are taught not to cry.
Yeah, they're so bothered that they love to point it out and like to keep thinking that the differences between men and women are social constructs. Not taken into account biological makeup of men and women is, well, as different as can be.
I want to tell them all that. And I feel quite sympathetic towards them, you know?
Okay, I'm willing to believe that. I really am. I am willing to believe that. But you might be. Feminism is not.
I mean, they felt pushed out, they felt excluded, they felt that this movement for equality is not for them, when in actual fact, feminism is for everyone.
Yeah, I know that you like to believe that, but feminism is not for everyone. Feminism is not an egalitarian movement. It's not for equality. And, you know, if you support an organization that comes with hashtags like kill all men, is it really that hard to understand why men are feeling pushed out?
And I just want to open my arms wide and welcome them in and say, hey, it is for you, you're invited.
Well, again, I'm willing to believe you on this. I really am. Um, and I thank you for the invitation, though I have to politely decline. But I also want to point you on your sister feminists. They might not agree with you on inviting me.
But then other times, like today, I just feel angry at people who say they're not feminists.
Yeah, because disagreeing with a feminist is never a good idea.
I feel that everyone these days should know what feminism is.
Why do you think I call myself an egalitarian and definitely not a feminist? Because I do know what feminism is.
They should know that feminism is nothing more than wanting the sexes to be equal.
Yeah, that's not what they want though. They're for equality for the women, not for the sexes.
You know?
Yeah, I do know.
In wanting the sexes to have equal rights in the eyes of the law.
Oh, I so wanted that to be true. But trust me, my dear, feminism does not want equality in the eyes of the law. Because that would either mean women would lose rights or men would gain rights. And that's not what feminism wants. Feminism wants the gaining of rights for women. There is no equalitarianism in that.
And when it comes to inheritance, etc., etc. Because feminism is a buzzword lately.
I wonder how feminism became a buzzword lately, even though it's not really a buzzword. I mean, it's been there for a long time. I mean, even during the second wave of feminism, people already recognized the differences between women and feminists and men. But okay,
Beyonce is talking about it. Taylor Swift is talking about it. Emma Watson is talking about it. You can't turn on the news or even go onto Facebook without something about gender and feminism making headlines. Whether it's from something as small as Robin Thicke's blurred lines to something as huge as female genital mutilation.
which is illegal in all first world countries. But funny enough, male genital mutilation is not illegal. This is funny, don't you think? In the US of A, male genital mutilation is even expected. So, yeah, genital mutilation, bad, but on boys, meh.
Or banning the burqa.
Yeah, because banning clothing items is so much of a big deal.
Feminism is everywhere.
Yep, just like germs.
And so if you say you're not a feminist, there's only two kind of possibilities. You're either a sexist and therefore a fucking awful person,
Okay, so if I have an organization which is for half of the sexes, but not for the other half of the sexes, so basically making a discrepancy between those sexes, I would be a sexist, right? But this is what feminism is doing, right? So that means that a feminist is a sexist, right? Yeah, I thought so.
and a scumbag.
Well, if you want to call feminists scumbags, okay, I can live with that.
Or you're just ignorant. You've not bothered to educate yourself when all the resources are there right in front of you.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of talking about the research that's out there. What did feminism do for society? Let's see. They fought for the women's right to vote, even though men didn't have a right to vote. So, again, sexist. And in America, they were partly talking about what would come first, women right to vote or minority right to vote. They chose, well, feminists chose for women right to vote. So, racist. Um, in England, they were part of the White Feather campaign, so trying to get men to go to war. Should I continue, by the way? I could. I really could.
So both of those things are not okay.
Yeah, and both of those things are feminism at their very core. By the way, you do realize that most women do not call themselves feminists. There is a reason for that. I'm not even talking about most men. There's a reason why most women don't call themselves feminists.
Someone that is just ignorant that sexism exists is no better than the upper middle class white person that sits in their mansion with their staff and says, "Oh, I don't think racism's a problem in this country."
Actually, racism might be a problem in the UK. I don't know how bad you guys have it, but it is already defined by law and it's illegal. Uh, as a sexism, by the way. But continue.
And everyone else, especially people of colour, just facepalm in unison because, of course, racism is a problem in this country.
Yeah, it is. But it's also illegal.
And it's not the job of people of colour to educate white, ignorant people
Okay, so who needs to educate you then?
about racism,
No, not just about racism, about sexism too. Who needs to educate you?
about racial oppression and institutional racism. It's not the job of people of colour to
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you. Institutionalized racism? What institute is promoting racism? If you have an answer to that question, you should talk to your local police officers because, as I said, by law, it's forbidden.
educate white people about that. We need to educate ourselves.
You surely need to educate yourself because you seem to think there is institutionalized racism. And I'm not a citizen of the UK, but I'm pretty sure that there is no institution based racism. I could be wrong though. If I am, again, go to the cops. They will deal with it.
And likewise, it's not the job of women to educate men about sexism. It's not my job.
No, it's not. You are the one in need of education, not the one who's going to give it.
It's not fucking Beyonce's job. It's not Emma Watson's job.
They're getting paid for it though. I wonder why they're getting paid for it then if it's not their job.
It's your job. You have a responsibility, not just for the sake of your mothers and your sisters and your girlfriends and your female friends, but you have a responsibility for yourself.
Well, I'm not getting paid for it. That seems unfair. They're getting paid for it. I mean, that doesn't seem rather equal now, does it?
As a decent, moral human being, to educate yourself about feminism,
Oh, playing the moral card. But then again, if it's true for me, how come it's not true for you?
i.e., gender equality.
See, this is something you would have learned if you would have learned about feminism. Feminism is not about gender equality. Egalitarians are about gender equality, and that's just one of the groups. There are more, I won't lie. But feminism is not.
And don't tell me that you believe in equal rights,
Yeah, I do.
but you just don't like the word feminism.
It's not the word feminism I do not like, it's the concept of feminism, the ideology of feminism, the women are better than men shite. Because that's not equal, that's not egalitarian, that's not about equal of people. So, I'm struggling with words now, I'm sorry.
Who gives a flying fuck if you don't like the word?
Again, not the word, the concept.
It's a word.
Yeah, that's why I'm not complaining about the word, I'm complaining about the concept. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but then again, so are you.
Why sit and argue about semantics when girls are getting their fucking genitals hacked off?
In third world countries, countries where I have no influence. Yet in first world countries like the US and UK and the Netherlands and Germany, it happens to boys. Where it's illegal to happen to women, it's not to happen to men. Because when it happens to men, then, well, it's cultural or there's a medical reason for it, which often there isn't. So how come you speak of genital mutilation and claim it's a terrible thing for women, but when it happens to men, nah, who cares? It's just men, right?
When they're getting gang raped?
Gang rape is illegal in the whole of the Western world. If you know of someone guilty of gang rape, go to the police. They will handle it. And maybe not laugh.
Who gives a fuck about lexicon then?
I do. And apparently you do too.
Nobody.
No, I still do, and I still think you do.
Except you,
Yeah,
sitting there in your fucking pedantic little hut cackling because you were right and maybe feminism is a bad word. Well, no, I'm fucking sorry.
well, I thought cackling was something witches did in the forest, but I'll leave that in the middle. But even you just said that, well, I was right. But no, wait a second, but I was right. That's not me saying that, that's you saying that. isn't it? You know, I'm thinking you should think this through.
I'm not gonna like campaign for this movement to be called the egalitarian movement. No, I'm not gonna sugarcoat things.
Yeah, you don't have to because it won't. I mean, you can give it whatever name you want. It's still a segregatory movement. So you can call it apples, you can call it oranges, you can call it apples and oranges. It doesn't matter. The ideology, that's the problem.
I don't give a fuck if you don't like the term feminism.
It's not the term.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's a word. You can call it whatever the fuck you like. It's gender equality.
Ah, see, now we have a problem. Because yes, you're right. I can call feminism whatever the hell I want. I call it a segregatory movement, or I call it a hate movement. I do not call it a movement for egalitarianism, because it's not. It's for the equalness of women, not the equalness of sexes. Feminism doesn't give a fuck about, well, everyone who's not a woman. And in all fairness, feminism doesn't give a fuck about women who are against feminism. So it's not even all women, therefore.
And if you don't believe in gender equality, then you're a prick. And if you aren't actively standing up and speaking out for the rights of women, every day, even little things like when a woman is talked over in the boardroom, or when she's patronised, or when she's catcalled, or when she's touched inappropriately at work, if you don't stand up and stop that, if you don't call out your friends on their banter when they're joking about rape, then you were part of the problem.
Yeah, because we need a joke police. I mean, you can't make jokes about everything. And catcalling women, even though there are plenty of women who don't think it's a negative thing, yeah, we need to speak out about that. And when women get touched in unfriendly places, but shouldn't we also speak out about men who have this sort of stuff happen to them? I think we should, because I'm, again, an equalitarian. But I don't hear you say we should. I don't hear feminism say we should. And I really don't believe in thought police or joke police, to be honest. So let's not go there, please.
You know, everyone says Hitler's so bad because he killed so many people, and yeah, he was so bad. But you know who else was bad? The people that sat back and let it happen.
Actually, no, the people that helped him were bad, not the people that sat back and let it happen, because a lot of German people ended up in concentration camps, just like the Jews, just like the Gypsies, and most of the Germans that weren't Jews or Gypsies were political opponents of Hitler, and they didn't have a good time either. And even the German army staff turned against Hitler on several occasions. So, no, no, not all people were bad. Not all Germans were bad.
The people that went along with it. Because if you say that you're not a feminist, you're literally sticking two fingers up.
Oh, I will stick my whole fist up when it comes against feminism. But then again, if I put my fist up, it would make it look like I am a feminist, I guess. So maybe I shouldn't.
At the fact that in this country, in the United Kingdom, this first world privileged country, 1 in 5 women will be the victim of a sexual assault in their lifetime.
Debunked.
And 1 in 4 women will be a victim of domestic violence.
Debunked.
If you don't believe in feminism, you're saying that you don't care that every week 2 women are killed by a current or former partner.
Okay, I looked into this. I can't find these numbers, but I'm willing to believe that just because I can't debunk it, because I can't find these numbers. But at the same time, men are, well, a lot of times more likely to become victim of violence against them. And not even because they know the perpetrators. Often they don't even know who attacked them. Um, it's not a small difference either. Men are way more likely to become victim of violence and die off of it. After all, men die more often because of violence directed at them than women. And men do die because of violence of a spouse. So it's terrible when it happens to women, don't get me wrong. If the number is 1 in 100,000, it still is too much. Even out of those two debunked ones you mentioned earlier. These are serious problems. But why do you have to lie about the numbers? Is 1 in 5 so much better than 1 in 10,000? Even though 1 in 10,000 is a problem? I don't get you guys. I don't get feminists. I'm sorry, I really don't.
And that 1 in 5 women and girls has an eating disorder.
I'm pretty sure it's not 1 in 5 once again, but yeah, it is a problem. And the eating disorder problem is mostly because of unfair imagery they are being bombarded with by the fashion industry, which is, funny enough, mostly done by women.
You're shrugging your shoulders at the fact that all across the world, children as young as 7, as young as 5, are being married off to 70-year-old men who will rape them and probably beat them and basically keep them as slaves.
In what first world country is this allowed to happen?
You're saying that you don't care.
No, I'm saying in what first world country is this allowed to happen?
That in countries hand in hand with the US, like, oh, Saudi Arabia, women are not allowed to drive or leave the house without a male relative.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is a second world, third world country. They're medieval in just about everything. This country is, in my humble opinion, a backward place. It really is. And if you were to say women are mistreated there, I 100% agree with you. But then again, not just women. I mean, men are mistreated there too, especially if you're an immigrant. Um, don't forget, ISIS is basically based on the same ideology as the country is. So just to show you what sort of people they are. So that US is considering them an important ally, to me, is too stupid for words. I would love to have a small discussion with you on this, and I think the both of us would agree on this. I really do.
These are countries that are literally hand in hand with the US.
Yeah, the US foreign policy system is fucked up, to say the least.
And we don't care.
We do care, there's just not much we can do about it.
Well, people that aren't feminists
No, people that are feminists might not care, but people who aren't feminists do care. Again, there's not much we can do about it.
don't care because who gives a fuck about women, right?
Again, it's not just women, men are victim too.
People have it easy. Women are equal to men. Don't make me fucking laugh.
Yeah, I agree with you. Women are not equal to men. They have way more laws protecting them than men do.
Women are not equal to men.
Yeah, I just said that. They have way more laws protecting them.
When a woman is asked to justify why she was wearing a short skirt or why she was intoxicated on the night of her rape, that is not equality.
No, that's police investigation. It's kind of the same thing that when the police asks a man why he was in a certain part of town where he got robbed and nearly kicked to death. I mean, it's not to blame him that he was there, but you need to have the full picture because maybe otherwise you'd miss something. It's not nice, but this is police investigation.
It's not equality that hundreds and thousands of women every year are trafficked across borders and forced to work as sex slaves in brothels and massage parlours and on street corners.
You're right, that's not equality. That's criminal behavior. And there are laws against that. I'm pretty sure that all over the Western world, this is illegal. And if you know of a woman being forced to work as a sex slave, you should contact the police. You know this. So try not to make it sound as if this is an institutionalized form of blah 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 blah. I'm not even going to finish that sentence. This is already against the law. Feminism has nothing to do with it. Hell, feminism isn't doing anything with it. They just point it out and to make it look bad. But then they can have a slut walk where women walk around slantily clad and complaining that men should not touch them because they look like whores, which is all fine and dandy, and I don't give a fuck. But criminals are criminals. Criminals don't care about good intentions or what feminism might think the good thing should be. This is why we have laws.
That is not equality.
No, criminals generally don't care about equality. Criminals only care about, well, their bottom line, don't they?
And it's not fucking equality when there is a female Secretary of State who is running for president and she's asked what fashion designers she likes. In, you know, in the run up to elections, she's asked what fashion designers she likes. Debates are had about Hillary Clinton's haircut and her cleavage and her shoes. Sarah Palin as well. No one talks about their policies or
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you. There's a good reason no one talks about their policies. Have you listened to their policy? Especially Sarah Palin. Honestly, the woman thinks she's a good foreign leader and she would be good at the diplomatic stuff because she can see Russia from her house. And if you don't believe her, just ask the American great allies, North Korea. I'm not making this shit up. She actually said this stuff. You want to talk about strong female role models? Well, there are a few.
if they do, they talk about what they fucking look like first. They talk about PMS and how they're boner killers and ball breakers and how they've got nagging voices.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, feminism doesn't mean that we all have to like all women. Equalitarianism doesn't mean we have to like all women. But you want to stick up for people like Hillary Clinton or Sarah Palin? I'm sorry. I really am. But why don't you use some true powerful women like Margaret Thatcher? I mean, you're from the UK. You must know Margaret Thatcher. But I know why feminists don't use the example of Margaret Thatcher, because she clearly stated that nothing she achieved was because of feminism. Feminism brought nothing to the world that she could use or need. And I mean, you might agree or disagree with Margaret Thatcher's political standpoints. I know I disagree with them wholeheartedly, but I cannot deny the fact that she was a very influential politician in the UK.
Does that sound like equality to you?
Yeah, actually, it does, because equality doesn't mean you have to like everyone.
Because it doesn't sound like it to me.
Then you don't understand equality.
And it doesn't sound like it to the millions of women all around the world who are getting beaten and tortured and raped and silenced and used as war booty and a whole fucking range of things. But you know what? When you stand up and publicly denounce a movement that is all about gender equality,
For fuck's sake, you blonde bimbo. Feminism is not about gender equality. And all those women you just mentioned, either they don't live in the Western world, and then there's fuck all we can do in the Western world for these women, or they do live in the Western world, and then there is a police force that we should use because they are not to be discriminated against, they're not war booty, they're not to be abused because no one is. Not men, not women. But the funny thing is, if a woman is abused, trust me, the whole society will stand up and help that woman. Not so much with the men though, but hey, that's another issue altogether, isn't it?
you're at best trivializing and ignoring that.
I'm not ignoring it.
And at worst, you're condoning it.
I'm not condoning it. Again, I'm not a feminist. You, however, are.
You're even supporting it. So, are you a feminist?
Nope.
Because I am.
That's your problem, and maybe the problem of your family and the people directly around you. But luckily, most women aren't and probably won't become one. But most women are for equal rights.
And I'm not going to apologize for being angry. I know that misogynists of the internet are going to crawl out of the woodwork and throw insults at me and try and debate with me because that's what these people do. But you know what? I'm not having the debate.
Of course you're not having a debate. You're a feminist. And okay, you're right. I did crawl out of the woodwork because you have to go leave your safe space every once in a while, don't you? So I left my safe space. I came out of the woodwork and I came to insult you. Not that you're not insulting me or anything like that. Um, but yeah, I know you're not going to apologize. And I know you're going to stand behind feminism because that's the path you've chosen. And that's the problem with it, isn't it? There is no debate to be had. You don't want to debate it because you don't want to hear anything that might make you think about the opinions you're having. This is very strong religious thinking, isn't it? I mean, I believe in this, and anything that can prove this to be wrong, I will not hear, because if I do hear it, then I might realize I might be wrong, and I don't want to be wrong because I believe in this. Circular thinking, really, innit?
Because if you do not see yourself as someone on my side and on the side of gender equality,
I do not see myself on your side. I do, however, see myself on the side of gender equality. You do realize that those are two different things, right? Feminism is not about gender equality. I'm not really sure why you keep trying to play that card and trying to convince people that it is, because it really is not.
then your opinion is irrelevant because it's just wrong.
Either it's irrelevant or it's wrong. It can't be both. If it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. If it's wrong, there is something to talk about. But you don't want to talk about it because it's irrelevant. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong.
And yeah, you know what? There is such a thing as having an opinion that's wrong.
Yeah, and you're displaying one perfectly well.
If your opinion is reprehensible, if it's sexist or racist or classist or anything like that,
You basically describe feminism to a point. You do realize that, don't you?
then no, I am not obligated to align myself with you
No, no one is obligated to align themselves with anyone, but you do realize that you just described feminism in 4 points.
and to interact with you and to listen to you. I'm not. So, fuck you and see ya.
Yeah, you don't have to interact with me, and I don't have to interact with you, but I will anyway. And what you're doing is perfectly beautiful religious behavior. This is why it says in the Bible that only fools do not believe what is said in the Bible. And therefore, if you don't believe, well, the Bible already said you're a fool if you don't believe, therefore the Bible is right. This is what you're doing. I won't go into a discussion if you're against feminism because you could prove me wrong. And I don't want to be proven wrong. Therefore, we won't go into a discussion because you are wrong. Ah, okay, fair enough. You know what? I am for equal rights, and I do hope that we will get them. Currently, as a man, I know my position is worse than yours, even though there are more wealthy men, blah blah blah. The glass ceiling is still smaller than the glass cellar, and feminism only talks about the glass ceiling. So I don't really understand why you think that feminism is for equality when all they care about is themselves. They're even against women who disagree with feminism. Can you explain that one? Can you really? Because I doubt that. Anyway, this is my 2 cents. I hope people enjoyed my response on this one. If you didn't, please leave a comment and I will try to explain it. Um, or I might even drop some links to research. I haven't put any research in this, I'm just going to go with it. Anyway, thank you all for watching and till next time.